Hello student, I am Sonali Kelkar and today we are going to study about the life processes. So let's have a recap of what we did in the last video session. In the last session I told you about nutrition, then we did different type of nutrition, autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition. Under the heterotrophic nutrition we did holozoic nutrition, parasitic nutrition and saprophytic nutrition. So today we are going to extend the same holozoic nutrition. So let's take a steps in holozoic nutrition. The first step in holozoic nutrition is ingestion, whereby we take a complex food inside, okay, and then the food is digested in the next process. Digestion means the food is broken down into their simpler and small components so that they can be used by the cells. Then comes assimilation, whereby the digested food is used by our body for the different purposes, and then the undigested food is digested out from the body through anus. Now let's start with digestion. Now what is a digestion? So let's have a look on a definition of digestion. It is a catabolic process. What do you mean by catabolic? Catabolic means anything which you are breaking down into small substances or small particles or small parts, right? So that is known as catabolic. So there are two type of reactions in our body: catabolic and processes in our body. Catabolic process and anabolic process. Anabolics concerned with synthesis, but whereas catabolic concerns with the breaking down of a particular compound or substance. Okay, so in digestion also we are breaking down the complex and the large component of food, okay, into their respective simpler and smaller form so that it can be digested or it can be used by the cell. So ultimately we have to provide nutrient to cell because they are the fundamental unit of body. Clear? So let's start the digestive system. Now the digestive system is comprised of two parts. That is, the number one is alimentary canal, and the second is digestive glands, right? Now let us talk about the alimentary canal. The length of the alimentary canal, the total length of the alimentary canal is about 9 meter, right? And this starts from mouth and ends at anus, right? Now sometimes the alimentary canal is the straight and somewhere it is like esophagus. The alimentary canal is quite straight and sometimes it get inflated and it becomes a stomach. Somewhere the alimentary canal is highly coiled. You can see this small intestine. This small intestine is approximately 6 meter and it is coiled in such a manner that it has to get packed in a very small place. 6 meter of small intestine is packed over here, highly coiled, okay, and after that the small intestines become large intestine. This is also a part of our alimentary canal. Large intestine, then rectum, and then anus, which is the ending of alimentary canal. So from mouth to anus is a alimentary canal, or we can say the gut. Now throughout the gut there is a movement called peristaltic movement, which helps in the movement of food. Clear? So we have learned about the alimentary canal. Over here let's have a look of digestive glands. Now there are two major digestive glands, that are liver and pancreas. Okay, You can see the liver here and the pancreas. In fact, liver is the largest glandular organ. There are salivary glands present over here. There are 3 pairs of salivary glands present. So salivary glands are also a part of digestive system. These glands produce enzymes. Enzymes are nothing but biocatalysts. Enzymes, they are nothing but biocatalysts. They help in the digestion of food. Now, because we know that our food comprises of carbohydrate, proteins and fats, okay, so even the enzymes which are going to act on the different type of food constituent, they will be different type, so that the digestion takes place properly. Okay, so different type of enzymes are meant for the digestion of different type of food. Okay, there are certain glands in the lining of stomach, okay, and in the lining of small intestine. So these glands are also there, which are present in stomach and small intestine, but they are present in the lining of stomach and small intestine. Okay, so let's start with the alimentary canal. Okay, so our alimentary canal starts with the major portion of the alimentary canal. Let's write the major portion of alimentary canal. Okay, are number 1, mouth. Mouth is also known as buccal cavity. Okay, the food in fact first start digestion. The digestion process first start from the mouth. Clear? Because the mouth consists of tongue, it consists of teeth, it consists and it helps in mastication of food. Teeth helps in the mastication of food. It divides the food into smaller portions. It minces the food so that enzymes can act on it, and there should be a efficient action of enzymes on food. So mouth is the first part where the digestion start. Okay, let's take a different part of mouth. Let's take tongue. So tongue is a muscular organ. Tongue is a highly muscular organ present in the floor of buccal cavity. Now it bears taste buds, or you can say gustatory cells, which tongue also helps in mixing of food with saliva. Saliva is secreted by salivary glands. Teeth. Now these are hard structure present on the bones of your both lower and upper jaw. Where are they present? They are present at lower and upper jaw. They are hard structure. What is the function of teeth? Grinding, cutting and chewing. As we all know that we have 4 sets of teeth. Those are incisor, canines, premolar and molar. Okay, let's take the next. Pharynx, next part of our digestive system. Pharynx. Now pharynx is a small funnel shaped chamber located behind the oral cavity. It communicates with both esophagus and trachea. It is a common passage for food and air. Common passage of food and air. Okay. There is the epiglottis, which is present on the entry of wind pipe, so that when food passes through your esophagus, this epiglottis will cover the windpipe. Okay, so that epiglottis is a very important structure. Now coming to esophagus. Esophagus is also known as food pipe in a very common terms. Now it is a straight muscular structure, but food doesn't pass through it, just like dropping from the starting point and ending point. It is not just like a straight pipe like structure, so that the food will just come down over here. No, it is a muscular type. It is a muscular type of structure. Okay, and food enters in the esophagus, but how does the food passes through esophagus? There are waves of contraction and relaxation. Okay, contraction and relaxation wave. The food is over here. Okay, when this particular part get contract, the food will come down again. The food will come down over here, right? And again this particular part will get contract, this particular part will get contract, and food will come down again. This will get inflated, food will come down. So it is a wave of contraction and relaxation. Through this wave, which is known as peristaltic movement, food comes down from esophagus to the stomach. But I want to tell you here one thing, that this peristaltic movement can be seen throughout the gut until the anus. Till the anus, this peristaltic movement can be seen. Okay, the food in the digestive system is moved through the wave of contraction and relaxation, that is peristaltic movement. Okay, now what is esophagus? It is thin, long, muscular tube that leads into stomach. So it is thin, long, muscular tube that leads to stomach. Clear, student? Then comes stomach. Now stomach, it is the most dilated and J-shaped. What is the shape of the structure? Stomach, J-shaped part of alimentary canal. So I'll just write J-shaped part of alimentary canal. Okay. It is situated between the esophagus and small intestine. As you can see in this picture, the upper part is esophagus and the lower part over here is the small intestine. This is a part of the small intestine known as duodenum. So duodenum is a part of a small intestine. So it is situated between the esophagus and small intestine. It is also a bag-like structure, elastic bag-like structure, situated. It is situated between the esophagus and small intestine. Okay, it serves as a storehouse of food where the particle digestion takes place through the secretion of gastric glands. So there are gastric glands embedded on the wall of stomach. These gastric glands secrete gastric juice. So secretion of gastric juice takes place in stomach. Now gastric juice is a clear liquid, but it is highly acidic liquid. It has enzymes, it has acid called HCl, and the surface, the inner lining of the stomach is protected by mucus. Now what is the use of acid? Acid, which is HCl, present in stomach, it kills germs. It kills germs, the germs which has entered in the stomach with food. It is important to activate enzymes such as pepsinogen, right here, pepsinogen. Okay, this pepsinogen enzyme in presence of HCl gets activated and it becomes pepsin. Now this is pepsin is a active enzyme which acts on protein, and it divides proteins, or it breaks down proteins into peptides. So pepsin is an enzyme. So acidic medium is very important for the action of enzyme called pepsin. Okay, so two main functions of HCl are very important from the point of view of exam. Food stays in the stomach for about 3 hours and it attains a pulp-like form called chyme. Pulp-like form of food is called chyme, CHYME. Now the food will leave the stomach, and in a very small portion over here you will find a sphincter muscle, okay, which is known as pyloric sphincter muscles, which will control the exit of food, and it will go first to the duodenum, which is a part of a small intestine. Over duodenum, over here, there will be a aperture in which the two ducts, that is a duct coming from the liver, will bring bile, and the duct coming from pancreas will bring pancreatic enzyme. Okay, so let's start with the small intestine. Now the food has entered in small intestine. I'll take up this in the next page. So let's start with small intestine. Small intestine, this is the longest part of alimentary canal. It is almost 6 meters long, longest part of alimentary canal. Length is 6 meter long, highly coiled. It has to be very coiled because it has to get fixed in the small space in abdomen, and the reason is why it is coiled. The other reason why it is coiled is because the food can pass through the small intestine. It will take long time for food to pass through it. In this long time, the food is completely digested by enzymes. Enzymes are going to act on food. Food will be broken down into a simpler substance, and then it can be absorbed by the finger-like projection in villi. A finger-like projection called villi. So finger-like projection called villi are present, which absorbs digested food. There is a large network of arteries and capillaries in villi, and there is one more vessel which is called lacteal, in which the fat or the lipase is absorbed, and amino acids and sugar, different type of sugar, which are absorbed in the arteries and the vein present in intestine, and food will then taken by a hepatic portal vein to liver, so that through blood, so that if there is any poisonous substance in food, that can be detoxified by liver cells. And even if there is a high level of sugar, that sugar will be converted to glycogen by the liver, and nitrogenous waste will be thrown out from the blood, will be separated from the blood, and that's why food through blood vessels from villi goes to liver. Okay, so liver also play a very important part. Now finger-like projection is known as villi, and in intestine is a place where the final digestion of food takes place. Intestine is a place where the final digestion of food takes place. That means carbohydrates will be finally digested into glucose, and proteins finally digested into amino acid or amino acid. Then fats will be digested into fatty acid or glycerol. Okay, so one more thing I want to tell you here, that intestine of herbivore animals are much longer than the carnivore animals, because the long intestine facilitates glucose digestion. So this is a very important point from the point of view of exam. The length of small intestine differs in all organisms. Okay, differs in all organisms depending upon their food habit. Depending upon their food habit. Here example is herbivores Herbivores have long small intestine to facilitate cellulose digestion and carnivores have short intestine. Okay, now small intestine is the site of complete digestion. We have already discussed this. The inner lining of small intestine have numerous finger-like projection called villi. This has also been done. Why the villi has a finger-like projection? Why do villi has a different type of structure? Because it increases the site of absorption. Okay, this is a very important questions. Villi has a different finger-like projection, which increases, I'm directly writing here, which increases the surface area, okay, for absorption, SORP, absorption. So this villi has this finger-like projection like this. So this particular convoluted shape is very important because it increases the surface area. Here are the blood capillaries, so that there will be maximum absorption takes place, right? These are the lacteals. Over here also lacteal vessels, which takes fat or the lipase, in fact, which takes lipase from intestine, and the different arteries and veins, they absorb the digestive food, that is glucose and amino acid. Now coming to the large intestine. Although the large intestine is shorter, but it is called large intestine because it is wider. You can see it is not due to the length, it is because of the wideness of the intestine. Large intestine is much wider, so we are calling large intestine. Is small intestine is narrow, so that is why it has named small intestine. Okay, it does not depend upon the length of the intestine, two intestine. Clear? The large intestine again it helps in the absorption of water from food. So there is no digestion of food takes place in large intestine, only the water is absorbed in large intestine. The food is going through the large intestine with the help of peristaltic movement. Due to the peristaltic movement, food moves slowly through large intestine. So I can just write here, function is water absorption or absorption of water. After the large intestine comes rectum. Rectum is the last part, about 15 centimeter long, which opens at the anus. It opens at anus, and food is here for a period of time. Food is here for a small period of time, till the time a person feels like to pass out the stool. Okay, so the last part of that is anus. Over here you will find circular muscles called anal sphincter or sphincter. They are present to keep close the last part of alimentary canal except when passes bowel. Okay, so we are done with the alimentary canal, but still have to do glands. Clear? So let's take the glands. Digestive glands. The first digestive gland is salivary glands. There are 3 sets of salivary glands present, and this keeps secreting saliva. Throughout the day the saliva is secreting, but when you feel like to eat something, or when you see some nice tasty delicious food, or when you smell something tasty delicious food, your mouth is full with water. This is nothing but saliva, which is helping the food to become soft. Okay, it moistures the food, it keep your mouth clean. It is about little bit acidic. The pH value of saliva is 6.8. It is due to these salivary glands that our mouth waters when we eat or smell something like. So what is the function of salivary gland? Is to moisten food, and there is an enzyme which is present in salivary glands which act on carbohydrate and changes into disaccharide sugar. Okay, it is disaccharide sugar, which is nothing but maltose. Saliva, and this is ptyalin, P-T-Y-A-L-I-N. Ptyalin is also known as salivary amylase, right? So this is all about saliva. Let's take the gastric glands present in stomach. Gastric glands, as I have already told you, these are found on the wall of stomach. The gastric gland releases digestive juice containing, so digestive juice containing HCl, contains pepsin, it contains mucus, okay. Now coming to the important gland and the largest glandular glandular organ. This is known as liver. Okay, now liver secretes bile juice, Clear? Now these juice act on large molecules of fat to make it in a small globules. Act on large molecules of fat, acts on large molecules of fat, okay, to form smaller globules. Okay, this increases the surface area so that enzymes can act on it. This increases the surface area so that enzymes can act efficiently. This is very important for and this process is known as emulsification. Fine. There is a gallbladder also which stores bile. Over here there is a gallbladder which stores the bile secreted by liver for some time. Then a common duct will open to the duodenum. Clear? Other than the liver, there is pancreas. They secrete pancreatic juice. Which contain enzymes like, now this pancreatic juice contains enzyme. It contains enzyme like amylase. This is very important. Amylase, trypsin. Amylase acts on carbohydrate, trypsin acts on protein, and lipase, as the word suggests, it acts on fat. Now these pancreatic juice will be given to the duodenum through pancreatic duct. So this is all about the digestion of food. Please practice today's chapter, today's session, and thank you.